Hello and welcome to Down to Art. I'm your host, Kristy Gordon, and today I'm chatting with the amazing artist Shannon Craig about taking a break from social media. So, welcome, Shanny. It's so good to have you.
Hi, Kristy. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be on the show today.
I'm really excited to talk to you, especially about this topic. So
I
Shannon is,
know.
and so Shannon is well known for her energetic and linear style of paintings, which she's exhibited extensively in solo and group exhibitions. And she actually currently has two solo shows coming up at the Lock Gallery in both Toronto and Calgary that opens on May 14th. Her work is in private, public, and corporate collections throughout Canada, the United States, the UK, and Ireland. And I am just so excited to be talking to you about this today, Shani, about your experience with putting down the phone and social media. And it's something that I've been working on too. So when did this start for you? Like, when did you start thinking about cutting back your use of technology?
Well, I noticed as COVID kind of progressed that I was using it more. I was kind of leaning on it when I was stressed out, when I was bored. I didn't have the normal human interactions that I was used to. So I was trying to find some way of, I guess, compensating for that. And also just thinking, well, I don't have anything else to do. I might as well see what people are up to. It kind of was a bit
Yeah.
of a slippery slope, because, and I guess the first, it's kind of silly, but the first time I realized I was using it too much was because I didn't want to have a shower, because the shower, I can't have my phone in the shower. If I'm in the bath, I can watch I can watch videos in the bath. I was like, this is just weird. Like, I have to do something about this. And also I was like having to fall asleep to listen to podcasts. That's the only way I could fall asleep. And then
True.
in the car, it just found its way into every aspect of my life. And when my kids are
Yeah.
talking to me, I was kind of noticing that I'm not paying attention to what they're saying all the time, or my husband or anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of obvious.
Yeah, well, and good for you too. Yeah, it's totally infiltrated my life too. And I think it gets in the way of my relationships and just everything. And I like what you said too about how it kind of stemming out of not having normal interactions with people. Because I think that that depth of interaction when we're actually interacting with people in real life, it leaves
Yeah,
kind of a big hole. And then it's this social media stuff, though, it never actually hits the spot. This is what my theory is. And so it just
no,
makes
you're
me
right.
wanting
It's all these
more.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, okay, so what happened at first? Because the problem too is if you're addicted to something, and if something's so ingrained in your life, you don't see the changes it makes to your life. It becomes kind of insidious in
Yeah.
the way that you don't know. So it sort of was like, okay, I'm going to do an experiment where I take it away completely, like cold turkey, no music, no podcasts, no video,
Whoa.
nothing. So basically, no multitasking. So I'm doing one thing,
Whoa.
and if I'm painting, I'm just painting. If I'm talking to someone, I'm just talking to someone. If I'm and just to kind of see what happened as an experiment, to see how, if I would change my habits, whether it would
Yeah.
be the same. And it was like eye-opening what happened after a week. Actually, what
Whoa.
happened after an hour of stopping it, and
Totally.
10 minutes of stopping it, I noticed, right?
Yeah.
Because I just kept picking it up. I picked up my phone, but I wasn't doing anything with it. Uh,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. I mean, it's almost incredible though that you were even able to put it down, all of it down for a week. I don't
Oh,
think
but I was
it's
serious about it.
how
I
did
was
you do
serious,
it?
and I was gonna
Yeah.
do this. The funniest thing though was so I was I was kind of I'd find myself on my phone. I wouldn't even know how I picked it up. I'd be
Oh
just looking at
yeah.
social media, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, how did this happen? I wasn't
Totally.
even I wasn't even aware of it. And
Yeah.
then I got bored, and I started calling. I guess on day 3, I started calling people because, oh my gosh, I'm so bored. There's nothing
Mm.
to do. So I called my aunt, and I swear she was like, "Is everything okay? How are your parents?"
Oh,
Everybody I
totally.
called was like, "Is there an emergency? There's something wrong." She calls me at 9 o'clock in the morning because that's my breakfast time, and I'm bored. I want to talk to someone breakfast time. She's like,
Yeah.
Are your parents okay? Are you okay? Is your kids okay?" Everything's fine. Everything's great. How are you doing? What's going on? Anything in the news? You know what I mean?
Totally. No, this is a normal conversation. Yeah.
I'm just calling because I care and I want to talk to you. It's no one hears that, right?
Totally. Totally. Yeah. it is. It's like weird now to just like phone someone, like especially not to like
Oh, so
text first and then just phoning them out of the blue.
oh, there's something wrong. If you're calling somebody, like, and most of the time I
Yeah.
call my friends, they won't pick up. They will not pick up the phone.
Yeah.
But then I'll text and I get a reply right away, like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "What?"
Totally. Yeah. But how did you like, oh, by the way, I can totally relate to the thing where my hands just like, if I try and stay off Instagram, I'll sometimes find myself just on Instagram. And I've put the app far like 4 pages over into a little like box in my phone, like, but still my thumb knows where to find it. And I'll
Oh,
suddenly
it's
be
so
like, I can't
weird.
even believe it. Like, how did I even open Instagram? Like
It's like you're possessed.
it
It's so
is. It's
weird. It's so
craziness.
weird. And I'm scrolling and I'm like, what do I? Oh, and that's the other thing I noticed too is that like I'm not enjoying the scroll, like because you're
No,
spending hours on
right.
something. Like what are you getting for your time? Like when you
Yeah,
spend time on something, what are you getting in return for your time? And it
totally.
becomes pretty obvious. Like, are you getting happiness from the time on social media? Are
No.
you really getting educated? Like maybe a little bit. Like there's all these things you can examine in your own life. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yep.
different for everybody though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but actually that's like really true. So I did like 12, I managed to get 12 days recently of only checking my text messages twice a day and only going on Instagram once a day
Wow.
because I was trying to
You
find a
should get
balance.
Noble.
Like some of it I do need to still do, so I didn't want to just cut it out completely. But it
Yeah.
like with that boundary around it, it was like very, very limited. And so I
Yeah.
got like 12 days. I was like counting. But then I like slipped just like a few days ago and I cannot get back. Like I totally can't get back. But what I
Ugh.
did notice is that when I would check on those 12 days that I was doing this and I was only checking like text twice a day and Instagram once a day, for the
Yeah.
5 minutes that I was on Instagram or the like 10 minutes that I was answering texts or whatever, I would have like a lot of anxiety. Like it would feel negative. Like so
Yeah.
the hit that I was like the hit that I was like hoping all day long, I would look forward to like this check on Instagram all day long. And, but then like that 5 minutes, it was always pretty much like almost always it just made me feel worse. It actually
I
almost
know.
never even made me feel better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. Like since I stopped using social media and stuff, I don't have any there's less like apprehension when I see people now. Like I'll even stalk people on the street. Like if I see a friend, like if I'm dropping my kids off, I'll see them like a block ahead. I'll scoot faster to catch up with them.
Yeah, like
To
you
be like,
actually
what's
want to
up? What's
connect with
going on?
people. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a person. Like they have a lot more meaning when it's like they're
Yeah.
important. Like that social interaction is important. Like I mean, I'm misaligned with how society is now, so I'm maybe a little more chatty than I should be, a little bit
You
more
said that
like
before, but I don't think so. I
happy.
saw you recently and you were very nice to talk to.
I was so
Not
happy to
weird.
see you, Kristy. I
I
was
was
like,
so
what
happy
is
to
going
see
on?
you.
But that's the thing, right? It's like, oh my gosh, this person is super more important now. Like conversations
Yeah.
are more interesting now.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear some of them like try to drive to work now to but I think, I think it's I think it's a good thing. I brought up a lot more friendships. Like I've carried on a lot more friendships and I still
Yeah.
text and stuff like, but it has to be
Yeah.
with somebody, and not just like kind of looking at their Instagram. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's nice to see what people are up to on Instagram though. It is
Yeah.
nice to see what
I
people
know.
are
I do.
up to on
I do like
Facebook,
that. Yeah. So actually that's
you
like
know.
the next question. Like, how do you find the balance like like of how of because I feel like there's ways that we kind of almost have to like use like technology. We don't have
Okay,
to, but we
well,
like almost kind of do. And then or you don't want
okay,
to cut
this is the
everything
diff
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but this is the difference though, is if you're addicted to something, okay? So
Yeah.
technology is addictive. It changes your brain. This is a
Yeah.
sign. I actually looked some stuff up. So it's
Oh,
like
cool.
every time you look at something, I think most people know this, you get like a dopamine release, like a
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
hormone release when you click on something. So
totally.
it's basically like changing your brain to sort of want this fast little fix.
Yeah.
And they did studies where it actually lowers your gray matter in your brain the
Whoa,
same amount
cool.
as a drug addict would have their gray matter, and or somebody who's like a gambling
Whoa.
addict.
Oh my
Yeah, they
God.
did like brain
Really?
scans, and someone who high use of social media was the same as like a drug addict, basically.
Whoa.
And that's,
Yeah, that
yeah,
almost doesn't
it's like,
surprise me, but it does surprise me. So we lose gray matter in the brain. Is that what it
yeah,
is?
it's partly due to like neuroplasticity. Like, because I mean, about 10 years ago, they didn't know that there was something called neuroplasticity. They thought your brain developed as a child, and it basically kind of stayed that way.
Uh,
But now they realize, I think you did even a podcast
I
on
did. Yeah,
neuroplasticity.
yeah. But actually, we didn't get into this type of thing so much. That's interesting.
Yeah, so what happens, your brain via the like what's your, it's like the inputs you're giving your brain, it changes via those inputs. So if like it's, that's how you learn new sports. If you're meditating, that's how you kind of grow more like gray
Yeah.
matter by meditating, by doing physical activity and stuff like that.
Oh.
So your brain kind of adjusts to what you give it, and if you're just giving it this constant low dopamine response for passively taking in information, like that's how your brain starts rewiring itself around that,
Mm.
so it's scary. I mean, they're still
Yeah.
researching, like a lot of these studies, they're still sort of starting out. They need a lot more data, but a lot of it's showing kind of some scary stuff.
Wow. I saw the Netflix documentary, I think. What was it called? Social, that one.
Oh, I haven't
Have you
seen
seen
that
it?
yet. I
Oh, I
should see
wish
that.
I should have written the name down. I'll probably like insert it in when I re-edit the
Just
podcast.
type in like YouTube's like, or Netflix, or like brain development, or no, it's
Yeah, there was like a whole one like about social media on
oh,
Netflix.
was there? Oh, I'm
I
gonna
think.
watch that.
Yeah, it was really good. Oh, I forget what it's called. I know it's funny though to be like, yeah, I mean, to be like, I haven't been watching Netflix for a little while, but I don't think Netflix is a big addictive problem for me. But like, I just was
Yeah.
trying to like cut out like a bunch of things all at once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like my whole thing was that, so I looked up how long to change an addiction. So if you're addicted to something,
Oh,
how long does it take to quit that addiction long term?
yeah.
And sadly, it was 3 months. It was 90 days.
Oh,
So
oh.
if I'm so if I'm actually gonna rewire my brain so it's not addicted anymore to this kind of thing, and I need to have a really good understanding of how I'm gonna use it going forward, I decided I'd go 90 days without it.
That's
So
amazing. Have you done 90 days now?
yeah, but like there was the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. You heard of it? I know it's so bad, but that broke me a little bit. I was like, I watched one video where I'm like, oh my gosh, did that really happen? Ugh.
I haven't been following that, but that's
No,
interesting.
don't do it. It's not worth it. I swear. But that got me. I'm like, I'll just watch a little bit, because I'll check the news,
Yeah,
once a day, like, so I'm not like completely oblivious to what's going on in the world, because there's a lot going on in the world right now,
yeah,
sadly.
that's true. Yeah, I feel like that type of thing where you still have a boundary around the use, like once a day, is kind of like sort like that sort of works for me because it's not compulsive then because you're only checking once a day. So that seems like a good
Yeah.
way to kind of balance like
Yeah, and like I'll have to check my
yeah,
messages on Facebook. I can't
totally.
completely cut it out.
No,
But if I
exactly, because I
notice
don't want to
myself
cut the people
scrolling,
out, like the people in my life out or whatever.
I know I've got like 5 people. It's
I
funny.
have like a few people that I only use like Facebook or only use Instagram to like message, and so if I like
Yeah.
cut those apps out, I would be cutting those people out.
Oh yeah, I know. It's true. You wouldn't, like, I swear I wouldn't talk, it wouldn't know what anybody was doing. Yeah. So it's
Totally.
gonna be complicated. Like when I
It
eventually
is complicated.
decide if I want to include it back in my life, it's a lot like smoking though, where it's like it's so addictive that if you do a little bit, like maybe you'll be just hooked again. You know what I mean too? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what seems to be happening to me right now. Like, as I said, I had like 12 days like a little while ago, and then the last few, like a few days ago, actually, it was around my show, like in
Yeah.
Ottawa. I like thought, oh, I better go on Instagram more so that I can like properly promote what's happening here. And I
Well,
thought,
yeah,
okay,
it's your
that's like,
livelihood, right? Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah, totally.
different.
So I thought, okay, that's like really reasonable. That's not compulsive. I should definitely do that. But then it just started a whole new like spiral of like, well, the next day maybe I'll just go on, and then it's just spiraled out of control, and I'm like on there nonstop. But I need to get back. But it's so hard.
It's a scrolling.
Yeah.
It's a scroll. They actually did it. They actually made it so it was like those slot machines. They just pull and it spins. They base it off of that.
It's
when they're making them.
crazy. I know some people who like change their phones to black and white so that it takes a little bit of like, like then it's not got color, and that's like slightly less. It's still, I'm sure, very addictive, but it's slightly less addictive. And I've like turned off all the sounds, so I don't get
good
the
for you.
like.
You did really well. You're like my only friend that's decided to do it too. Like,
but I'm failing right now. But
no. But you tried, Kristy, and like most of the people I talk to, their eyes glaze over, and I see that they're backing away from me when I'm talking about it. Really? And I have the overzealotness of someone who's just like starting a new fad diet. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, it's life changing. You got to do this. They're like,
It is life. I like, it makes me feel very hopeful. But if only I could get it. The friends that I've like talked to, they're like, they're kind of mind blown. Like they're like, oh my God, like I could never do that.
Oh yeah. Or like I tried for 2 days and I couldn't do it. Like I thought I was going crazy like the first day, where I was just like, my brain didn't know what to do. It didn't know what to do. I was staring out the window, looking at birds on the trees, and I'm just like, oh,
that's
trees.
Probably a good strategy. That's me.
I was like, oh, and I had a lava lamp too. I'd look at my lava lamp.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good one. I slept a lot the first day that I started that 12-day abs, like, putting down the phone. But then now, like today, I was planning on it, but I've already gone on Instagram like 50 times. I don't know. Like,
oh, I know, so it's so hard.
Yeah.
But there's a time and place for everything too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would
the funny thing.
Yeah, tell me.
Sorry.
Oh, no, go for it.
The funny thing was like when I started painting without music or podcasts.
Oh, that seems so hard.
Things would pop up in my head like, let's go out to the ball game, like all these weird songs that like for no reason they would just circle in my head. I'm like, why is this? What's going on? I was gonna write it down, like all the different things that popped up in my head while I was painting. Like it was just weird what would bubble up like for my consciousness. Yeah. My brain was just trying to find something,
Yeah. Oh, it seems really hard not to paint with like something going on in the background. I
want to see how it changed how I painted and how my work was and my
relationship to my work. Changed?
Yeah, I think it has.
Really?
It's interesting. Like I'm more focused on my work, because it's like having a conversation with two people at the same time. If they're both talking, it's hard to pick up what one person's saying. So you are making your brain sort of, I mean, I'm only assuming, but you're kind of making your brain double task a bit.
Oh, that's true. That's true. It's really helpful to kind of hear the ways that it's kind of benefited you, like now that you've kind of a little bit come through to the other side, or at least you're like well on your way. I think it's motivating. Like I think we need to be
motivated. Yes, you're gonna do it, Kristy.
I want to. I'm going to. Maybe it feels like such a letdown that I've already failed at. Like I can't. I'll never be able to.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. No. Like but it also feels like a letdown that I've already gone on Instagram like 10 times or however many times today. Like I would like to be like, oh, as of today. But even if I like start right now, I still will never have today as my first day. But I should just start. It's not about that. It's just the way
just be easy on yourself. And when there's a time, if you need it, it'll happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very personal, like when you start on this kind of thing,
Yeah, and it does get easier. Like I remember the first day was super hard. Like the second and third day were very hard. And then by like the 12th day, it was like kind of getting easier. And I was really enjoying it. Like
it can be like right now while I'm painting, like I love the quiet sound. Like the quiet in my studio is like, I relish it now. I love it.
Wow.
But then someone will play music next door in one of the other studio spaces, and I'll just lose my shit. Like they started like one started playing jazz and they started like kind of scatting to it. I was like, oh my God. But then I'm like, it's okay, because my brain wants to focus on something, right? So I'm like I think I ended up putting some classical music on or something. But yeah, like I was just like, I like that quiet. Like I love the stillness.
Actually, I love quiet too. Yeah. Yeah, part of why I play music though all the time, like in New York, is because there's always sound. So I always
Oh
need to
yeah.
like be canceling it out. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to do that.
Hmm.
And like the traffic and stuff and
Yeah, and yeah, just all the sounds. I need to like soothe myself with my own my own generated sound. Um,
this is the other thing I want to say too. I have a point.
Sweet.
About I realize it's okay to be bored. Be bored. Like
Right. Oh, that's so
boredom.
powerful.
Like be bored. I've noticed two things during COVID. One's not related to this, but one of them's be bored, and the other's be okay to be sad and feel bad. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it's okay to
totally.
feel bad. It's okay to be bored. Like these are different states, but they're not. They don't come with nothing positive.
Yeah, that's
Boredom makes you
totally
kind
true.
of go out your comfort zone. It makes you do something different. You know. Um.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And also like sometimes with my boredom, because for some reason I find boredom really uncomfortable, but I sometimes think about like how I'm always frantic and stressed out trying to do things and I just want to be like able to relax or whatever. And like maybe if I wasn't feeling bored, instead I would be feeling like serene, like in the same time,
Oh,
like
yeah.
why
It's
am I
true.
feeling this like opening for serenity as boredom?
Oh, I've never had that feeling, serenity feeling.
I know.
I don't
What
remember
is
what
that?
that feels like.
Me neither.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. But that's like really, I really like that. I think like that kind of thought is like the type of stuff too that can open it up so it's easier to do because when we're not like so against feeling bored and being like this is like terrible, I have to do something, then
Yeah.
you can just like sit with it and
Well,
yeah.
sit with it and feel like what is boredom? What is this? What's going on right now?
Yeah.
with
And
this
same
with
with
this
sadness.
with
I
this
totally
feeling.
believe in that too.
Like sadness has a lot of other it has meaning, so it means whatever you're feeling is has a deep meaning for you, and having a deep meaning for something has is important and should never
Totally.
be ignored. It means
Yeah,
like you really
totally.
love somebody, or you really it's always like the other side of a coin almost. Sadness, you can't have it
Yeah.
without being bonded to something, without being happy, without you know what I mean. Like it's just it's kind of it. I think it can teach you a lot.
Whoa,
I
I
know there's
think that's
clinical
true.
depression and stuff like that, but I think a lot of people want to be happy all the time or be in a certain thing where I'm feeling good, I'm feeling happy, I'm
Mhm.
feeling, but it's like, but no, that's just not, that's not what life is. It's just absolutely not what life is.
That's
It's a bunch of
totally
things,
true. And to expect
you
it to
know?
be like that to expect life to be like that is like, yeah, when we get on these like crazy cycles, searching
Yeah, well,
for
that's
it.
what Instagram does and Facebook does
Yeah,
too. It's like,
yeah,
I mean, I know people share a lot of grief on Facebook and a lot on Instagram, like losing a family member
true.
or, so, but, but I think that really just honoring your feelings and emotions, I think is the best place to start. Saying like, this is how I'm
Yeah,
feeling. I'm just going to sit with this.
yeah.
I'm going to learn from it. It doesn't feel nice. People try to avoid it, but it's definitely something you can change your view on, I think. And
Yeah,
make it
I'm like all
happy.
about
Make
that.
sadness happy. No, I'm just kidding.
But
I'm just happy about being sad.
all the time. Yeah, I don't know. There's like a certain like surrender and release. Like when you stop fighting being sad and you're just like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna be sad for a while. Then suddenly there's just like space around it, and it's like it's okay to be
Yeah.
sad. Like it actually kind of just opens it up just a little bit, where like fighting it off is like more painful or whatever. Like,
Yeah, it's just like, or that there's a problem. So it's like, I'm feeling sad. So this
yeah,
is a problem. This isn't
true.
normal. This isn't good. And then you start
Yeah,
adding thoughts and feelings around this, like that is something wrong. Instead of sitting
totally.
with it and saying, sometimes crying even feels comforting.
Oh,
Sometimes,
totally.
loss is to do with like memory. And, there's a lot more going on than I think people realize and try to simplify,
Yeah, I
you
like
know?
totally agree. And I do find that it can be like really scary to like feel our feelings. I'm kind of like all about it. That's like the other kick that I'm like kind of I've been into for the last like number of years. But
Yeah.
like it's like the feelings can almost convince us that they are so scary that we can't handle them. Like some of the intense ones can feel like really scary. But when you
Oh,
actually start
yeah.
to feel it, it's like, okay, this isn't like as bad as I thought. Like but it can feel before you
Yeah.
get to that point like it'll practically kill you. Like you totally
Oh,
cannot
I
feel
know.
this
I know.
feeling.
There's some that are crushing. There's some
Yeah.
feelings that, or the things that you've been hiding from for so long that like
Yeah.
exposing it feels too. But those are all just thoughts around it, right? They're just a concept you've made around the feeling, but those feelings are just something you feel in your body, and that's
Yeah,
if
that's
you get, I
true.
mean, but also, yeah, I also practice Zen.
Oh,
Like I
cool.
as a Zen center, like they've helped me through a lot of stuff too, in terms of just like living in reality, like what's going on right now, basically. So, and
Ooh,
being
that's
aware of
it.
what's happening now with your feelings, with your thoughts, with what's going on around you, like in this moment, not like your idea about the future or the past or anything.
Whoa, that's actually like super powerful because that's kind of what we're left with if we put down all the ways that we're kind of trying to avoid life, like with social media and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, like, and being aware of when you're using social media, how your breath is, how your body feels. Is your chest tighter when you're on it? Are you registering what you're reading? Like knowing what's going on when you're doing something is very important.
Oh,
It gives
that's
you a lot
true
more
too,
knowledge.
actually. I did notice that actually I get into a sort of like anxious body state when I'm on like social media, like breathing faster, like more tightness in
Mm,
my body, like yeah, like I'm almost always like uh yeah, that's just like how my body is when I'm on it. Yeah, this kind of rushing. I don't know.
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I find I have a shallower breathing. Like I
Yeah.
don't breathe as deeply, and yeah, it's just, and there's a lot of information. Like, how is your brain even taking in the information that you're looking at too? Like, are you?
It's
I don't know.
true.
It's like instead of like what I want. This is all ambitious, Shannon, but
No,
like
it's amazing.
so. But if I want to like learn something, I should take something and learn it from the beginning to end. Like I should research something instead of just getting a
Yeah.
tiny snippet for a minute
Yep.
that goes by, or even a second. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
maybe it's better to unpack something more and find out more about it.
Yeah. That's like really true. And I think that it kind of also goes back a little bit to what I'm noticing with like social media or even like texting, but all of the ways that like I think all of the ways that things can be addictive is because it's actually not really fulfilling us. Like it's not actually nourishing, you know? Um,
Yeah.
and so like when we just like have actually nourishing real interactions with people, like then we're fulfilled afterwards. And it could be hard. Like sometimes it's like it doesn't have to be like a mate like pleasant all the time, but just something that's like really real or whatever. Yeah, it's like nourishing and then it doesn't leave that like addictive craving, but like with social media. So maybe even with like the research piece if we're trying to find information, but it's never very much if we were just getting little snippets from like
It's
whatever.
not. Oh,
Yeah,
another thing I noticed too, where it's like, okay, you know how if you have a diet high in fat, high in sugar, high in salt, it
right.
changes your taste buds and what you want. So it basically ruins your taste buds
Yeah,
for vegetables, for fruit. Now, this is something
yeah,
I made up too. This is another, but I'm thinking like when you have that much content just scrolling through, it
yeah,
makes your regular life maybe not as interesting. Like maybe if you have
yeah.
all these famous authors, you can see their quotes for hours a day. Is your neighbor or your kid, they're gonna, it's a lot for them to compete with,
Hmm.
right? With your time.
Totally. Actually, I'm remembering now on like maybe the first day that I started that like 12-day abstinence that I'm totally going to get back to.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I'd gotten through like the most of the whole day or whatever, and it was like 7 p.m. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do for the last like 3 hours or so before I fall asleep? Like, how will I ever get through this? And I just had no idea. So I got like a big blanket. I have like a big fire escape in New York that's on
Oh,
top of
it's
my
so
bed.
cute. You got a
And I
blanket.
have a
Oh,
lawn chair on there. So I just got a big
oh,
blanket and like went out and laid on my lawn chair on my sort of fire escape deck. And it turned out the moon was
oh.
like right in front of my face. And it was like the most relaxing experience of my life. And I never would have gone out there if I had been like looking at social media the whole night or whatever.
Oh
And so it
yeah.
like, yeah, it was like so beautiful and magical. And it like nature too. Like we get to
Mhm.
reconnect to nature and stuff.
Oh yeah, like all the projects. That's what I found after like 5 days. All the projects that I wanted to do. There's projects you want to do for years,
Yep.
but they end up in your basement. Like they were all
Yep.
getting dragged out. Like my piano is
Yeah.
out. I got into like I found this crossword puzzle book. I was just like it was like finding a gold bar in my basement. I found this puzzle book.
Awesome.
I was never been so happy in my life with Sudokus and stuff. It was like a gift from heaven. I was like, oh, this is for hours. And then I got my plants growing for the spring. So I'm all excited about summer. So I can go plant my little tomatoes outside. So I started sprouting them inside this year. So all these things I wanted to do.
100%.
I did it. I've been doing yoga. I'm doing lots of things.
That is like actually so true. I noticed that too. Like I used to be like, oh, I have no time. There's no time in the world. But then when I like started to put it all down, I was like, there's like so much time. Like how will I ever? And so like anything that I would want to do that can like fill up some time would be like totally doable. Like I have,
and that's from boredom. That's boredom, right? You get bored and it's your brain just switches to something else where it's like, you know, maybe I'll write a story, or I'm gonna. Oh, I started reading Dune. I've been putting off reading Dune for like a year, but now I'm over halfway done Dune because I want to watch the movie, but I didn't want to not read the book first. So
it's
so that's been fun.
That's like amazing. This is like really inspiring. I think like remembering what like the vision here is, like the vision isn't to be bored out of my mind for the rest of my life. The vision is to like be able to do the things that are actually meaningful to my life, that are actually nourishing. Oh,
I lost weight too. I lost weight. My skin cleared up. What else happened? But exercise. I'm not laying around, because when you're laying around, there's nothing to do. I'm not sitting on my chair. So basically I'm walking a lot more. I'm seeing friends. I'm a billion times happier.
Yeah, I was too for my 12 days.
Oh, you'll do it again, Kristy.
I will. I'm going to start right now.
Yeah, it's going to be, but I need to be reminded too, because it's easy to slip back, honestly. Like even with all the things I've learned, you know?
Yeah, it happened really rapidly for me. Like it was just like that one day, but then the next day I was like, whoa, this is really spiraling, you know?
Oh, you're like, oh no, I had it happen a couple times too, where I'm like, I'm scrolling on it. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this isn't, but there's a little voice like, it's fine. Just this one time. It's okay.
It's that one time that makes it turn into like all the time.
Yeah, you just have to have rules, like really. I mean, it's like a dieting, right? If it's something you need occasionally, you know, like occasionally I have to eat food. So it's hard to diet.
Yeah, it's totally like that.
You can't live without, I think it'd be very hard to live completely without social media right now.
Oh, totally.
Like independent artists, you know. So
yeah, Instagram's like a really important like part of my art career at this point. But going on there once a day, like totally is all I need to do. It like as far as like the business requirements, like
and also like when you're making content, you're not on there. You're making content and you can put on your social media. So really only need to be on there to kind of check what people have said about it, if they need to correspond. So it's not that, it wouldn't be that bad.
No, it really doesn't like require me to be on there that much. And if anything, maybe with all the endless amounts of extra time I have, I would be able to like create more content.
Oh yeah. I want to do it too, but I'm one of those people, when I post something, I hate it. I hate myself for it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll post something on there on Instagram and I'll be like, oh, should I have done that? Like, what have I done?
Oh, that's like so hard. Like, I've like felt that before too. And it's hard when it's anything related to our work too, because like, then like, it just feels so vulnerable. Like,
oh my goodness. Yeah. It's so funny. I've been trying to experiment a bit more of my work too. So I put up there and I'm like, oh, what are people gonna say? And then any like negative comment, you just take it too much, you know? Like
I like totally get that. Yeah, I definitely I was sometimes posting stuff when I was experimenting, and then after a while it was like breaking my heart. This was like a few years ago, and I think I stopped actually even going on there for like a whole year, just because it was like,
oh really? Aww.
Yeah. And actually that was also like my Instagram account wasn't functioning well, so that was the other thing, is that like I would see all these other artists who had like, they had worked the algorithm, so they had like a big following or whatever, but I at that time like didn't. So I would like post something and like nobody would like it, and I'd see all my friends with like so many thousands of likes, and then I wouldn't understand that the
Me too,
algorithm was
Kristy.
like
Me
against
too.
me. And so then I would just be like,
Yeah.
oh, like people actually don't like my work. Like I didn't understand it wasn't even about that, it was about the algorithm, you know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know anything, but I haven't figured that out either. Like, I'm not on Instagram enough, but I did try. I have a good amount of followers, but yeah, I'm not really.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out either. But yeah, I know what you mean. Where it's like you post something, and it's like, oh, no one's looking at it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
totally. Like I
on,
guess the
and you
world
check
can
on it
tell
like
it's
2 minutes later.
yeah. Yeah,
Or
that's
you'll
really
post
good.
something that's like more personal, like more about me, and no one likes it. I'm like, okay. And I
Totally.
post something it's just like not to do with me, and then they're like, oh, they like it. Like, why,
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah, that's the stuff that can be like kind of like paint like kind of hit a little too close.
Oh, I know. No,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna try to be better. I'm gonna try. I am trying to get more followers on Instagram and stuff, just so like when I share something, it just reaches more people.
Yeah,
Like my
totally.
bad sense of
Yeah, I
humor.
like that. Also, it's like less disheartening if your
Yeah, I
algorithm
know
is
it's
like
true. It's true,
working
but
better.
that's
You're just
that's
like, oh, they like it.
but that's what makes it addictive too. Where it's like, oh, I got so many likes. I got so
Oh, for
many.
sure.
You
Yeah,
kind of obsess about
totally.
it.
Yeah. No, that's true.
But I have to also say, my mom and my dad and my brothers have been really good through me cutting social media because they have to answer my phone every day. Like I call every one of them every day because
Oh,
I'm bored.
yeah. That's like
So
important. Yeah, I have people that I actually call too, and I'm like so grateful that I do because I don't know, I almost feel like nobody calls anyone anymore. So I'm
I
like
know,
so
but my
glad that
poor
I have people.
mom,
Oh, your mom must
she
be
has to.
lovely.
My mom has to answer. My brothers have to answer. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
they're really supportive of me and my husband too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. What other ways can you think of that Zen like maybe like helped you with all of this? Or
Oh, well, it's
I
helped
love
my
that.
life in a huge amount of time. It's the White Winds Zen Center in Ottawa, and I've been going there for the past 6 years, and they've taught me a ton of stuff. They've been instrumental in my
Wow.
quality of life right now. Yeah, I mean, it's
Oh,
more
that's
just
cool.
to remind you to live your life as it's happening, and not
Mm,
make stories up about things. People like to exaggerate stuff in their minds, and just to live, in that way. And they're constantly supporting me, and it's a great environment. So.
that sounds really cool. I have done a little bit of like Buddhist meditation and stuff, but I think that would be a really cool thing for me to maybe also start getting into more, as I
Oh
put down.
yeah,
I think as you put down one thing, it is a good idea to find something else that you kind of put
yeah.
in. Like,
No, it's
yeah.
true. Yeah, I think meditation would be an excellent thing to do instead of doing videos, because again, it's building
Yeah.
that gray matter, and it's helping your brain, rewire. It's like, because it's like think
Yeah.
about a road. Like neuroplasticity works as if you think about a trail in a forest. So if you make a new path, it's pretty narrow, but the more you walk down the path, the kind of wider the path gets and easier to follow.
Ooh, I
It's
like
like that. And then if you're not on a path for like a long time, it kind of will grow over. That's kind
yeah.
of how your brain works with neuroplasticity. So if you're sitting um, and practicing your training, Zen training, like we practice Zen training, then I'm creating my brain's getting used to that way of thinking, like feeling my hands, my feet, the air, the smells. It's opening
Ooh.
my awareness out to what's happening around me and in my body and stuff. So it's like the opposite of when you're, that feeling when you're like looking at a screen, all you're noticing is that screen and
Totally.
that feeling of that dopamine, you know what I mean? So it's very
Yeah.
different.
That's really cool. So when you like meditate, how long do you meditate for?
Well, I sit for about half an hour a day.
Wow,
So I'll
that's
sit in the
really
morning about
cool.
9:30.
Yeah.
And then we also do like when the Zen Center is open, we'll do like 2-day meditation sittings. Like we'll do, although
Wow.
they don't call it meditation, but it's more like sitting. So we sit to Zen for half an hour, and then take a little break and half an hour throughout the day.
Oh,
And they have the
that's
best
interesting.
vegetarian food you'll ever eat in Ottawa.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Wow.
their cook, they make incredible meals.
Oh, wow. Oh, I have to go there next time I'm in Ottawa. And I'm
We have to
totally
sit. It's hard to get the meals. You have to sit.
You have to sit. You have to work for it.
You have to become a student. They have to accept you as a student. So it's the hardest meal to get necessarily in Ottawa vegetarian, but it's definitely worth it. The years.
That sounds so amazing, though. So as you're sitting for half an hour, you're just bringing your awareness back to like your hands and your feet and the present.
Yeah.
And like, that's really cool. Is there any other
your
like,
breath?
Your breath, yeah.
Yeah, your breath. What's hard? Like I can't. The best is to have a Zen teacher to teach you.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so because you can talk to them because they also have Daisan practice interviews where you sit with the teacher, and when you're talking to them, they can see how you're talking, and they can kind of remind you of your practice when you're sitting with them. It definitely helps with your practice to have a teacher. Like we have a sensei, you have there's different levels too of like students.
Yep.
And stuff.
Wow. Yeah, go for it. That's so cool that you've been doing that. How long have you been doing that for?
Oh, well, 6 years at this place, but I did study Korean Zen in Toronto.
Wow.
At the Toronto Zen Center. Yeah, they're great too. I like the simplicity of this training though, and the consistency too.
Yeah. Yeah, consistency is really big. Like you say, even with me slipping on the social media, it's like, I don't know, like we don't have to do everything perfectly. We just kind of have to be consistent. Like,
well, that's what they're saying too. Like you're not trying, when you're sitting Zazen, like you're not trying to create a state. Like, so I'm not trying to make a feeling of happy feeling. Like, oh, now I'm sitting and I feel really great. It's just see what's going on. Like what the thoughts come up. The thoughts go, your breath, what's going on. It's basically like not try to hold on to anything or create anything which is nicer than trying to maintain a state of feeling a certain way. That's hard. You can't do that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's totally true. Wow, that's like so
some meditations you'll try to visualize something, or you'll try to this is different than that. You stare at a wall when you sit, and I like that though, because it definitely reflects how you live the rest of your life and how you practice the rest of your day too.
Yeah, that's neat. I've done a little bit of that type of thing, and I found
Kristy's gonna be a Zen Buddhist too.
Yeah, definitely. Like, let's do it all. Let's put down social media and start doing like more meditation.
It's nothing. Yeah. Zen's the best. I love Zen, but then I start talking about it, and it's like people usually glaze over. Like,
I don't know. I'm definitely not. Also, I am just really struck by how nice of a tie-in it is. I didn't know that the Zen Buddhist like meditation was gonna come up, but I think that ties in so nicely to like kind of it's like it is kind of almost a little bit like the opposite of like what we do on social media. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's well, it made me capable of seeing how it affected me.
That's the other thing. I think you're right, because I was really struck by like your awareness around like, and I haven't really seen you for many years, but now it all makes sense. So
yeah, well, you need to know like. And also when you're talking to people too, to see how what you're saying makes them, like how they look when you're talking to them. Like, do they look tense? Do they look bored? Do they want to walk away? Like, it's good to know what's going on and not be in your own head all the time.
Yeah, actually, that's like totally true. The truth will set you free kind of a thing. Like.
Oh, and the not interrupting. I like to interrupt because my brain is a way that I just want to say what I'm thinking so I don't forget. But interrupting in Zen is not it's not something you're supposed to do. So I'm better about that. Trying to be better.
Cool. I think I might be a bit of an interrupter too. I have noticed on this podcast that I'm an over responder, and a lot of the time I like edit out a lot of my responses so that people can hear what the speaker is saying instead of just quickly respond.
Well, have you noticed when you're talking to someone if their timing's off? Like, so when you start, they start. Have you noticed that sometimes? I notice when I talk to some people.
Maybe sometimes that's true. Or there could sometimes be like really long gaps, like. Where it's like, oh my god, is someone gonna say something? Yeah.
Well, I noticed with Johnny Depp and the Amber Heard, like he talks so slowly. He's like talks like this. It's not that I want you to watch it. I'm not saying anyone watch it. It's like a train wreck anyway.
Wow. Yeah, that is the other type, the type that talks so slowly that I'm like, come on, like what are you
Johnny Depp? I can't believe how he talk so slowly.
Wow. But yeah, I definitely have like encountered that. I think I might be a little
Uh,
impatient. I'm a fast talker, so I start to lose the thread of what they're getting at if they're talking too slow.
Oh, my family's like that too. They have no attention. So if I talked as slow as like Johnny Depp, my family would be gone. They'd be out of the room by my
Yeah.
next sentence. They would abandon.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess yeah, but I guess actually coming back to the social media thing, like have you found that your like attention span is more focused or whatever, like since you've
Oh,
put down?
hugely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they did also like because I'm gonna I did educate myself with the science before I got on with you. So
Yep. Yep.
people did perform worse on cognitive tests, people who are addicted to social media,
Yeah.
and especially the ability to multitask and their attention. So which makes
Oh,
sense.
interesting. Also about dopamine, I think I've heard that like I don't remember exactly what I heard, but like it was something like with the social media, yeah, we get lots of dopamine, but then maybe we're actually getting less like it can actually, oh, I don't know what exactly, like we
Oh, I see what
require
you
more.
mean.
So if you kind of put down everything and almost do a dopamine fast where you're not getting any dopamine, then littler things in daily life will make dopamine, for you naturally. And maybe that's what the problem is with the
Oh,
first few days when we put down social media, is that we're not getting the dopamine from the
oh,
social media, but we're also not getting it from the little things in life that'll like eventually
yeah, you're
start giving
right.
us dopamine. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. It's like if you drink coffee, like I heard that when you drink coffee, you get that really good rush in the morning of coffee, but after that, your body adjusts to having it. So when you don't
True.
have coffee, you feel like crap, but when you have it, you're basically normal, like from before you start.
Right.
So you're right.
Yeah.
So if you're getting constant dopamine, so if you take it away, you're actually going to be lower in dopamine
Yeah.
and
At
then have
first.
to rebuild it. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting. It's probably useful to kind of like know some of the science so that I don't know. I think it does support us as we're like putting something down. It's hard to
All the
do.
science
It's like
agrees.
yeah, it's like I think it's also hard to just put something down because it also has that element of seeming like, well, it's not that big of a deal. Like, like to
Yeah.
just check Instagram or whatever. It just doesn't seem like I could just check it once. It's not a big deal, but then it spirals and then it's nonstop. And I don't know, but that's like the problem is it doesn't like yeah, it just doesn't seem like that big of a deal to just check it once. But then it never is that. It like goes into my whole
Well,
life.
yeah, like if you can check it once, you're not. If you're like, I can't scroll down it, so I'll just check my messages and
Yeah.
see if I ever have a notification of a message. But yeah, I cannot scroll because if I start scrolling, it's the end. But I do want
Yeah.
your listeners, like hi listeners, I do want you listeners to try to put
Yeah.
down, just try for a day and just to see how it changes your
Yeah.
life. Maybe try for a week or a year. No, just kidding. Just to see, like,
Yeah.
it's because it's personal. Like some people I've talked to say, well, I don't use my phone. I don't go on social media. So they don't, this doesn't even affect them. Do you know what I mean?
It's
So
like
it just depends.
amazing.
Everyone's different, right? So some people will be like, it's not a big deal. I don't have a problem. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but
You can really find out how big the problem is when you try and put it down.
yeah, I had a real big problem. A
Me
really big
too.
problem.
Yeah, me too. This is like
Yeah.
so timely for me. Can you think of anything else that you want to like add? I feel like this has been super
Mm.
interesting. I think we've covered a lot of it.
Yeah, no, I think hopefully it'll have people think about what they're doing a little differently and maybe improve their lives. But I think a society, I'm afraid our society is going to change because of this addiction and social media.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe it'll just become so normal it won't even be noticeable anymore either. Because as like I think when printed words were coming out, they said that would be a problem for people
Oh.
psychologically. So like
Oh.
I know I'm kind of going against what I was saying before, but like before books were handwritten and when they invented the printing press, that's when they're able to make books affordable and for the masses. And there was a big outcry that this was going to ruin society.
Really?
Yeah. So it was like, oh my
Oh.
goodness, people be reading, so it's like you're taking in information. So the world's going to change. We can't do anything about it, but like knowing where your limits are and what you need to change and how you use like the different media you use is important, I think. on an
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah, I think so too. I think especially when it starts to like affect our mood and affect the way we feel about ourselves or other people. And yeah, it is like it takes a little bit of work to find like what our limits would be because nobody else is out there imposing them on us.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
think like how happy are people right now? You know, like
Negative.
how
Yeah.
happy is society? How connected is society? Do you know what I mean? Like it just seems
Yeah.
from all the studies that people feel less fulfilled, less satisfied, less happy, and you know, and you gotta look at like how
Yeah.
people are spending their time, and you know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like really good to be thinking about this. And this has been such an interesting topic and conversation with you. And I'm actually like so motivated right now. So hopefully I'll get for new day one starting right now. So where
Yeah,
can
oh
people
yeah, and
find
then if
oh
you
yeah,
get bored, you can text me. You can
oh yeah,
text
that's
me if you get
good. Yeah, that's
bored.
good. I'll like have an accountability partner. That's actually excellent. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can text me if you get bored, Kristy, because that was my number one thing is having people to bug, like to text and stuff to like hear
Oh, yeah, maybe I'll
like how's
start
it going?
calling
What's
you
up?
too. Yeah,
Oh my
you
god, you
can
can
call
call
me
me
anytime too.
anytime.
Yeah, you can call me. Do you have my phone number? We'll have to make sure we have phone numbers.
Yeah, yeah, we'll make sure we connect.
Yeah,
I know it's so funny. I just like message you all the time.
yeah, totally. So
Okay,
where
but
can
yeah,
people
people.
find out? Oh, go on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I'm Shannon Craig Morphew,
Oh,
on Instagram.
sweet.
So
I'll definitely include a link.
SHANNON. Yeah, you can add it to Shannon Craig Morphew on Instagram and Shannon Craig on Facebook. But you're not going to see a lot of new updates. Although I should try because
Yeah,
I have a show coming up, so I should probably start advertising that and stuff
yeah,
too. So
yeah, totally. And then your website is also Shannon Craig Morphew, and I'll include a link to that as
yeah,
well.
yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kristy. Yeah.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, it's so good to talk to you, Shani, and thank you so much for all the amazing thoughts around this. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Down to Art, and if you're interested in any of my classes or seeing my paintings, you can check out my work at kristygordon.com or look at the online classes I have at kristygordoncourses.com, where you can learn about my online art mentoring program as well as the different streamed online classes that I have. If you've never taken any of my classes, I would suggest you start with the self-portrait class. So thank you for joining us today.